What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to stay up to the Ravens content, make sure to the subscribe button down below and turn the notification bell on if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, the Ravens versus Washington football team preseason game is at 6 p.m. tomorrow, which is Saturday, which means Joshua and I will be live streaming 1 hour before the game at 5 p.m. up until the game starts, and then we will stream after the game and analyze any questions you have, analyze any players, roster spots, all that stuff. And we're going to have a lot of fun, after the game ends. Hopefully it ends in a victory, but we shall see. So make sure to come back then, if you want to get our analysis and ask any questions that you have, that's the perfect time to do it. We always have a lot of fun doing it, but that's it for the intro. I'm going to save the trivia for this video to be at the end of the video. And in today's video, I want to give my thoughts on all the players that are vying for that backup free safety role behind the Joker, Deshaun Elliott. Now, keep in mind, these opinions may change based on tomorrow's game, whether or not somebody plays really well, somebody plays pretty poorly, they can shift. So this is not my end-all, be-all final rankings of these players. It is just here's where I'm standing right now before we go into the final game. This is really going to be the final game to analyze. These are the three guys to watch, in my opinion. Maybe wide receiver is a position to really watch for, but I think the safety spot is definitely the spot to watch. If you are looking at one position group for this final preseason game, it's that safety spot with these guys. So, after the trade of Shaun Wade, I think it's really pointing to the direction of the Ravens keeping two players, as that backup free safety spot, or just backup safety in general. Not saying that they can't be a backup to Chuck Clark, but I expect Anthony Levine to have that job because of his role on special teams and how vital he is to that special teams group. But, the players I'm going to be talking about, Brandon Stephens, Darius Washington, and Geno Stone. So, which two are going to be able to make the final roster? Let's talk about it. Now, before I give my thoughts, I want to hear what you guys think. If you have, opinions, who's going to make the team, who's not, let me know, and I would love to hear why you think that. But first player I want to go off on is Brandon Stephens. I really think that he's almost a lock to make the team. And why I say that is because he's a third-round pick, and I highly doubt that the Ravens would ever risk cutting him and not allowing him to get off waivers. They didn't even do that with Shaun Wade. They traded Shaun Wade because they knew that he wouldn't be able to clear waivers. Brandon Stephens wouldn't clear waivers, okay? There's a chance that, the other guys might clear waivers. It's definitely a higher chance, but as a third-round pick, you're not going to be able to clear waivers if you're cut. And unless the Ravens looked at it like they looked at Shaun Wade and they traded him, that would be the only way that I would see him not making the team. That or, severe injury or something like that. So hopefully that doesn't happen, knock on wood. But, overall, Brandon Stephens at that spot, I don't expect him to be traded. I really just expect him to make the team. And so that's kind of all the analysis I really needed to do on him, just because he's been playing well. He's a third-round pick. There's no reason why he wouldn't make the team. But now let's talk about the other two. This is where the analysis really comes in. And the first player, I'm going to start with Darius. And he's an undrafted free agent. As we all know, Ravens love their undrafted free agents. He's kind of a projected fifth-round pick, early day 3, potentially even a fourth-round pick. But at his height at 5'8", people were a little bit scared. And obviously, they weren't able to draft him. But the Ravens picked him up instantly off the draft wire. He was one of the... I believe I saw some reports saying he was the best undrafted player, or the player that was most snubbed from the draft, you could say. And the Ravens looked at him and they were like, you know what, we need this guy. And they offered him $100,000 as an undrafted free agent, which is a pretty big offer for undrafted players to come over to the Ravens. And he did. And when I first watched him, if you didn't know, I put out a video actually the day that all the undrafted players were out, and I scouted all of them, every single one of them. Nate McCrary, Darius Washington, all of the guys. So, it's one of the most viewed videos on this channel ever. It might be the most viewed. So if you're interested in that, to see my initial thoughts on him, the first guy that I thought of when I was watching him was Tyrann Mathieu. That's really the guy that I thought of. I know a lot of people had said Bob Sanders and stuff. I like Bob Sanders. I don't know. I didn't see it as much. I really saw the Tyrann Mathieu, just the way that he plays so much bigger than 5'8". He goes out there and he hits hard. He's around the ball as much as possible, and he just plays big. He plays like a Raven. And now all of a sudden, you look at what the Ravens are doing with him, what they've done with him in preseason, and what they need. I mean, it's Tyrann Mathieu, okay? They needed a guy that can both be a nickel and a safety. And they've been playing Darius Washington in the nickel spot, kind of as that backup to Tavon Young. That is why when Shaun Wade initially was traded, I was like, that helps Darius Washington. Because now all of a sudden there really isn't much competition at that backup nickel spot because technically Marlon could step in and play in the slot. He's an elite slot cornerback as well as an elite outside cornerback. He's one of the most versatile players in the NFL. I still love him more on the outside, which is why Darius Washington has that ability. He's played well out of the slot, out of the nickel spot in the preseason so far. We'll see what he's able to continue to do, but he's also played well at the free safety spot. So, he has that versatility. He goes out there and he can do both. And that's what Tyrann Mathieu does. He plays in the nickel, he plays at safety, and that's what he's done his entire career. And I think that that's something that we can really look at and say, like, hey, maybe this guy can be like that now. Is he going to be as good as Tyrann Mathieu? I don't know. If he, maximizes his potential, maybe. Yeah, he could. But Tyrann Mathieu was an absolute monster in college. So he came in and was like fully ready, fully expected to do everything. But they doubted Darius Washington because of his size. And he plays similar to Tyrann Mathieu. And I think the Ravens really like that. And I think that he could absolutely make the team because of his versatility. Because with the Ravens, we all know injuries happen in the secondary. And depth at the secondary spot is second to none. I mean, that's what you need. Too many times the Ravens have just been destroyed by injuries. And now having a guy that's versatile, can play corner in the slot and can play outside, I'm sorry, not outside, over the top at the free safety spot, very important. But now let's talk about Geno Stone. Geno Stone, 7th round pick by the Ravens last year, kind of a ball hawk out of Iowa. I'm a big fan of Geno Stone. I really like all of these players, which is very difficult to make a decision. But in terms of Geno Stone, he was kind of a forgotten player on this team until that first preseason game against the Saints where he had 2 interceptions. And all of a sudden, the mentality shifted on Geno Stone. And no longer was it like, oh, Geno Stone, he's just there as like a guy to have. And all of a sudden it became, wow, 2 picks. That guy could really do well. He's got a knack for getting around the ball, catching the ball, doing all that types of things. However, I think his interceptions were a little bit overrated by the Ravens community. Now, I want to give him props. He made the plays and such. However, neither of them were him being like, oh, wow, like that was a great play by Geno Stone. Neither of them were really like that. Now, he still made the play. Can't take that away from him. But the first interception was a terrible overthrow by Taysom Hill that ended up basically in the belly of Geno Stone. He made the play. And then the other was actually Chris Westry SWAT knockdown on a deep pass to a Saints wide receiver. I can't remember who the quarterback was. It might have been Jameis. I think it was Jameis, but he swatted it away and Geno Stone kind of slid in and made the interception. So they weren't him like jumping a route or doing anything like that. They weren't like Ed Reed. Oh, he baited him into throwing it. Nothing like that. He still made the play. Ravens still need players to make plays like that. But, unless we were able to see something where if he goes out there on this weekend and he goes out there and he baits a quarterback into a good throw, that's when it's like, that's the play. That's the play that we really need for the Ravens. But, he hasn't really shown that yet. Now, he absolutely could. I'm not taking away his chances. But the Ravens do need guys that can get interceptions. That's something that they've needed in recent years. Marlon doesn't get a lot of picks, okay? Not to fault Marlon. Marcus makes up for Marlon. But like our safeties, Chuck and Deshaun, they don't make a lot of interceptions. Now, Deshaun could absolutely step up his game in that department. He was a bit of a ball hawk at University of Texas, but we shall see. Now, I think Geno Stone can absolutely make the team. However, if I was building the roster right now, I would have Brandon Stevenson or Darius Washington. But like I said, they're not set in stone. This weekend's game will really allow me to finalize my predictions and rankings for roster spots in that 53-man depth chart, which we will give, Joshua and I will give next week. But, let me know down in the comment section down below what you guys think. Who's the player that's going to be the odd man out? If you only think one of them is going to make it, let me know. If you think all 3 are going to make it, let me know. But let me know why if you think all 3 are going to make it. I'd be very curious to see what you think. But in terms of today's trivia, I want to ask, what is the most interceptions a single Raven has ever had in a single season? Now, it's probably pretty obvious why I asked that if you don't know who the player is, but if, Ravens trivia, and you get bonus points if you get the year as well. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Make sure to come back tomorrow for the live stream. Should be a lot of fun, and I will see all of you again then.